triumphs of the nations near and far. Hear from world leaders, experts, newsmakers, and everyday citizens as they share their perspective, providing a comprehensive overview of the political landscape. Tune in every Thursday, 4 to 5 p.m. on Hard Facts to be a part of the global conversation on 99.3 Nigeria Info. All right, 11 minutes gone past the 4 o'clock hour. Welcome to Global Review. We're talking about the state of Palestine. Of course, hunger is ongoing. We saw a little bit of drama yesterday, if not today, depending on, the time. I want to play you a clip of people walking out on the the Israeli Prime Minister when it was his turn to make his speech at the United Nations General Assembly. I'm just going to play that clip. By the way, we're live, facebook.com/Nigeria Info FM. We're also live on YouTube, Nigeria Info FM. Before I introduce my guests, because we're going to be talking about the countries that have recognized the state of Palestine. And of course, we spoke about Mr. Vice President speaking on behalf of Mr. President yesterday on, the two-state solution. These are some of the issues that my guest and I are going to be discussing on. But here's a clip of people walking out on Prime Minister Netanyahu yesterday.
Ladies and gentlemen, order.
Okay, the laughter part is not supposed to go on, but people decided to walk out the moment he was introduced to take the stage. As you can see in that video, diplomats delivered a strong message to Netanyahu by walking out on him, and there are people on the gallery who were clapping for those who walked out on the Israeli Prime Minister. Well, to discuss not just the issue or the idea of a two-state solution, the recognition of the state of Palestine, I have Professor Scott Lucas, my very good friend, a professor of international politics at the Clinton Institute and also at the University College in Dublin. Professor Scott, it's so good to have you join us. Welcome to Global Review.
Well, it's always a highlight whenever I can join you all.
Yes. The video of diplomats walking out on Prime Minister Netanyahu with strong speeches being delivered on a two-state solution, including the Vice President of my country. Of course, there's a lot that would be riding on all of these statements and hoping that Netanyahu, one way or the other, would consider the plea of all of these heads of state. What do you think? Let's start with that before we go into the recognition of the state of Palestine.
Well, first of all, in terms of the walkout, just to start from the facts as they are, Benjamin Netanyahu is the Israeli prime minister, but he also is indicted. An arrest warrant is out for him on war crimes issued by the International Criminal Court, as well as the deceased Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar for Hamas's war crimes. So here you have someone who is accused of war crimes who is addressing the UN General Assembly. Now that's a protected space. No one's going to come in and arrest him there. So he can make the speech, but diplomats can express their not just their displeasure, but make a statement, a silent statement, that what Israel is doing is not acceptable. Now, will it affect Netanyahu at all? No. And I need to make clear, beyond what, Netanyahu's speech, at the start of March, Israel refused to go into phase 2 of a ceasefire with Hamas. So phase 1 had ended. And at that time, the Netanyahu government expanded its military operations, including the killing of civilians in Gaza, and it cut off all humanitarian assistance across the borders. Now, since then, they have allowed a small amount of aid, and I mean a small amount of aid, to cross. They have set up their supposed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, but what has happened is more than 1,500 Palestinians have been killed trying to get the humanitarian aid. And it's only a fraction of what's needed, so there have been Gazans, including children, who have starved to death. Now, that's on top of more than 66,000 now who've been killed since October 2023. I need to be clear where we are now in September, and that is there are no practical negotiations for a ceasefire. There are none. Last month, Hamas accepted broadly a proposal for a ceasefire, which was mediated by Qatar, the Gulf state, and it was one that was promoted by Donald Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff. But when that agreement reached Netanyahu's desk, he would not consider it. Why do I know this? Because Israeli opposition leaders said this. Israeli human rights organizations have said this, that Netanyahu does not want to negotiate. And it was just after that, of course, that he tried to kill Hamas's negotiators by bombing inside Qatar, inside a sovereign state. The Israeli plan, which was leaked a few months ago, is for a long-term occupation of Gaza. It's 4 military zones with Palestinians, Gazans, packed into 3 areas in between those zones. They, in effect, would be monitored in those areas. They would have to apply for permission to get out of those areas. These, in effect, would be large camps. And there is no endpoint for that Israeli occupation. And I must add to this, because your listeners will probably know this, that there are proposals by Israeli ministers and indeed by Donald Trump that Gazans be displaced, be removed from their homes, and indeed be removed from all of Gaza. The 2 of Netanyahu's ministers have said up to half of Gaza's populations should be transferred, their words for it, to other countries.
Where to exactly, and what country is going to take in the Gazans? Of course, the people who make the excuse that most of the Jordanians are Palestinians. Actually, before the state of Palestine was Palestine, and then Jordan was Jordan, they were all Palestinians. So, but would countries like Jordan be opening their gates to receive the Palestinians? And why should they actually, if they already have a place that they call home?
Well, I think there's a historical, issue that we should raise, and that is, remember, in 1948, when the state of Israel was created, and when Israel, because of the Arab-Israeli War, took even more territory, there were hundreds of thousands of Palestinians that lost their homes, and they wound up in Jordan, they wound up in Lebanon, they wound up in Egypt. And I think you still play as an as a promotion for your show. What we said earlier this year, that there are almost 6 million Palestinians who are still effectively refugees living in camps in other countries. So if you do that with Gazans, you're going to repeat this, that you're going to repeat hundreds of thousands of people added to these camps. And the fundamental is, Gazans don't want to leave. Gazans don't want to leave where they were born, where they grew up, and where many of them are dying. Despite the risk, they don't want to go. And the fundamental is, why should they? I know we can talk about Hamas, and we'll talk about what Hamas did in October 2023, but I come back to a fundamental, which is, can you give me a justification, if you're the Netanyahu government, not only for the killing of these civilians, but why you were forcing them to leave the territory, given that the entire rationale for the creation of the state of Israel was as a homeland for Jewish people who had been forced to leave their homes many centuries earlier.
It's interesting what's playing out right now. But then Netanyahu also issued a strong message to the UK, to Canada, to Australia, and all of the countries, who have said to him, look, we're recognizing the state of Palestine. And of course, whether we like it or not, like history will tell us, the state of Palestine seems to be a creation that was backed by the United Kingdom. But do we see them actually backing them in action, as opposed to just playing to the gallery of, we're just going to do this because you don't want to do that?
I'll take that, I guess, in 2 stages. I guess let's talk about the recognition of the state of Palestine, first of all. With the 10 states who this week have recognized the state of Palestine, that includes, by the way, 3 members of the G7, Canada, UK, and France. I think Belgium and Portugal joined in now, Australia as well. You now have, I think it's more than 150 of 193 countries. So about 80% of the world's countries now recognize the state of Palestine. Now, it will not end the Netanyahu government's mass killing and their military operations for the reasons that I set out earlier. But it's powerful symbolically, because what it means now is when Israel attacks, they're not just attacking and killing Gazan civilians. They're not just killing and attacking journalists or attacking humanitarian workers. They are attacking the state of Palestine. They are attacking another state. Now, I don't expect other countries to send in military forces to stop this or anything like this, but it sets down the marker, which is this is now a state. And as the Nigerian vice president said very powerfully, at the United Nations, for peace, you must have a two-state resolution. So that's where the line has been drawn. Please, when there is a halt to the Israeli military operations, that's where we start from. Not if there is a state of Palestine, there will be a state of Palestine, and we negotiate our way towards it. So that's pretty important symbolism. I would say necessary symbolism. Now, should more be done, which is the second part of the answer? Absolutely. But you open up the door to this. And, in the case of Ireland, which is now my new home, Ireland has not only recognized the state of Palestine, Ireland has filed its own opinion regarding the prosecution of Benjamin Netanyahu. Regarding the claims of genocide by Israel at the before the International Court of Justice. Ireland is considering sanctioning Israeli goods that are made in the West Bank because that's occupied territory. There are a couple of European countries that have done that. There are individual Israeli ministers who have been sanctioned. So there are steps which are being taken, but I think what you're really asking me is, shouldn't we be cutting off military supplies to Israel?
I was about it. Literally, I had it at the tip of my tongue because you're sending this, and then on one hand, you're saying, well, we need a two-state solution. Doesn't that amount to some level of hypocrisy?
Yeah, I mean, so let me first of all, before I get to the UK, identify the fact that because the UK actually sends a very small amount of Israel's military assistance. I mean, it's only like 1 or 2%. So that's not letting them off the hook. I'll get to them. The two countries we have to talk about to start off with is we have to talk about the United States, which almost everybody knows because they provide, I think, around about 60% of the military provisions to Israel from outside. But the second country is Germany. And so it's not just the U.S. where you need to be pushing this. We know that Germany sympathizes with Israel for historical reasons. We know very well what they are.
Exactly, and there's nothing you're going to tell them to change their minds.
Well, they're starting to edge away from that slowly. Slowly, there's a bit of a space. So there has been a limit in recent months on German exports of military supplies to Israel. I'm not saying it stopped, but there has been not as much has been going out there. And the Meretz government is trying to get a little bit of room. Now, I don't expect Germany to recognize the state of Palestine, let alone cut off military assistance. But there's space for negotiation on that. And that will come from other European states. It will come from the EU, and it should come from other parts of the world. And of course, with the Americans, you just simply look at the Trump administration and you realize I think there is little that you can do. Now, in the UK, there's a lot that can be done because even if the UK provision is only a very small amount of what Israel gets, it would be a very powerful symbolic move for the UK to halt all military exports to Israel. The UK has halted they halted about 30 export licenses because to express their displeasure, there's about more than 300 that are still active. So there's a long way to go there. I would say, however, that I did not expect the UK to recognize the state of Palestine.
I didn't.
I was surprised they have gone this far. Yeah.
Well, I think that if you ask me, I think that Keir Starmer's got a lot on his plate and he has to, whether he likes it or not, because the pressure is mounting. But Professor, let's take a quick break. When we come back from that break, let's talk more about the way forward, because while these conversations are being had, people are still dying of hunger. People are being still being shot. People are still being, removed from their homes. So we'll be right back. Stay with us. It's still Global Review on Hard Facts.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We'll be right back.
This is not just football. This is JJ Ball X, the game where every double, every race counts. Here, your football skills pay off. As you raise the ball, you fit dey raise your account balance. So if you think you're the next JJ and it's sure for you, get on the BetKing app. Use the promo code JJBollex. Tap on casino. Click on JJ Bollex to play and start winning. Remember, not for persons under the age of 18. Play responsibly.
It's the choices you make that set you apart from being good to being great. My choice? Nivea Men Deep Body Lotion with Max Tech, powered by Black Carbon. Gives you both dark wood fragrance and 48-hour moisture. And my other top choice for all day freshness, Nivea Men Deep Roll-On for 72-hour protection and fragrance with Max Tech, powered by Black Carbon. Skin is for playing it smart. Nivea is for skin.
Ideas that take off without wings. Insights that ripple beyond the shore. That's the power of marketing with Edge. So come celebrate excellence beyond borders in the 2025 Marketing Edge National Marketing Stakeholders Summit, virtual on the 25th September and the Edge Awards on the 26th September at the Bamol Event Hall, Sheraton Hotel, Ikeja. Our lead speakers are Baba Awokwetu, Consultant, Strategy, Marketing, Stragba, and Mr. Obia Sika, Director General, National Council for Arts and Culture. And gracing the summit as panelists are Mr. Pritesh Raj, Chief Executive Officer, Laureus, Mrs. Victoria Abiola Ajayi, GMD, TVC Communications, Mr. Femi Odubemi, Founder, Executive Producer, Zuri 24 Media and more. Marketing Edge Awards. Promoting the brand idea.
Here you go, dear.
Mom, you didn't add milk.
No need to. Taste it and see why.
Wow, but how?
Is it milky?
Yes.
Is it creamy?
Yes.
That's Milo 3-in-1 milky and creamy for you. It's so milky. I don't need to add more milk.
I love it, Mommy.
Give your kids Milo 3-in-1, milky and creamy. It's truly milky. It contains calcium to help your champ win every day. Milo, energy to go further.
Milo! In the cooking game, you need a winning game plan. I'm not just talking about your fresh ingredients, utensils, or cooking skills. I'm talking about your choice of seasoning. My game plan is incomplete without Maggi chicken flavor. Made with a flavorful formation of onions, celery, turmeric, it's my game changer. Elevate the taste of your everyday dishes with delicious, rich chicken flavor. Oh yeah, let's go.
New Maggi chicken flavor, my game changer.
Okay, sandwich, fruits, and water. The new 33cl Nestle Pure Life Premium Drinking Water. Handy size for my little ones. No more half-finished bottles coming back home.
The new 33cl bottle. Big enough to refresh, small enough to finish. And thanks to our trusted 13-step quality process, every drop is refreshingly safe. Nestle Pure Life Premium Drinking Water. Source of hydration you can trust.
I either go big or I don't even go at all. I like to strategize. That's me.
300% Aka bonus day.
I don't have power for 90 minutes, so halftime cash out is okay for me.
Halftime up day.
With BetKing Sports, there's more than one way to win. Cash out at halftime, even if your team loses at full-time. With BetKing Halftime Up is plenty. Bet and get up to 1 million naira when you register on BetKing today. Not available for under 18. Play responsibly. T's and C's apply. That feeling, that's BetKing.
Hey, yeah, now Rabbi, with Orabi, but it's strong, my mouth is fresh, he clean well, oh, now Orabi, strong teeth Orabi, fresh bread Orabi, 24/7 with Orabi, strong teeth Orabi.
Give on our teeth 24 hours protection. Use Orabi today. The Nigerian Dental Association, Tanda Gidigba with Orabi.
E get many things where they gbadu pampe for. You fit dey transfer yafun free of charge.
Tell me more.
Data and airtime na cheap on top pampe.
No be tori na dey hear.
You pay for something, they give you something back. No be play.
No be cashback be that.
Hello. Dem still sama you reach 20% kule interest on top saving.
This better. Na more.
Na app we get many enjoyment and jollification. Na pampe. Say yes to more.
Ibuka capsule full ground, anytime pain they around. If pain won't show him power, 3 in 1 day to knock out power. Ibuka pain for body, pain from fever. That's why I carry up always. Ibuka hammer then I wear. Ibuka they buy me always. always.
After 3 days, if body no tranga, go see doctor. Na Shalina Healthcare Limited, the market arm.
Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, Tanda Gidigba with Ibuka.
Books, uniform, school fees. Hey, mattress.
Mommy, please, I want the one I slept on at Auntie Regina's house, Muka.
Say no more. Don't leave sleep out of the back-to-school checklist. Doctors say quality sleep aids better learning. Choose Muka students' mattresses today.
Sleep better, live better, Muka.
Muka, adding comfort to life since 1959.
Party people. Jollof, gone. Pounded yam, gone. But water, unfinished bottles, abandoned like Sia wrapper. Ha!
The new 33CL Nestle Pure Life Premium Drinking Water. Big enough to refresh, small enough to finish. No waste, no wahala. And with our trusted 13-step quality process, every drop is refreshingly safe. Nestle Pure Life Premium Drinking Water. Source of hydration you can trust.
Oh, the only detergent that keeps me bright and fresh. I know they waste time to wash. I thought my clothes deserve the best, so why go less? You can't wash a lot with a little Viva. Use Viva. Don't waste your time, don't waste your money. Use Viva. Viva, oh Viva. I love my Viva. Don't need no other. I love my Viva forever. Viva, oh Viva. I love my Viva. Don't need no other. I love my Viva forever. Viva, I love my Viva. Don't need no other. I love my Viva forever.
Viva Detergent, a quality cleaning powder from Aspira.
Niger, brace yourself. BB Niger Season 10 is here. And this time, there are no zeros, only 10s. 10 times the drama, 10 times the grass goes, 10 times the action. And Super Commando is turning the hit to the max with nothing but energy. That means 10 times the energy.
Ready to fire on this BB Ninja season? Grab a bottle of Super Commando energy drink. It's nothing but energy. Super Commando, fire on.
This is what goodness tastes like. Golden caramel, creamy buttermint, and rich coffee. There's a Cadbury candy for every moment.
Cadbury Caramel, Cadbury Coffee, Cadbury Buttermint. Sweet, smooth, and full of flavor. Whether you're chilling at home or on the move, there's a Cadbury candy for every mood.
Yeah, there's a Cadbury candy for every moment.
What does it really mean to live limitless? It's a sojourn in Gombe, leading a procedure in Lagos. It's SMEs showing up every day, pushing through the odds. It's students in remote towns streaming global lectures in real time. It's you making big moves in London while chilling by the pool in Abeokuta. It's power. It's freedom. It's mounting a router outside and connecting it inside for super fast internet. It's Airtel 5G Smart Connect. Enjoy unlimited data for limitless living with Airtel 5G Smart Connect. Visit the nearest Airtel shop to get yours. Airtel.
On September 24th, 2025, the highly anticipated second edition of EcoBank Design and Build begins. The excitement is palpable as players in the Nigerian build and design space look forward to an amazing variety of Nigerian creativity in design, building, and construction.
The theme this year is how we build, how we live, and that aptly captures the expectations of the many discerning visitors. Attendance, by the way, is free.
EcoBank Design and Build 2025 is intentionally curated to showcase the very best people, ideas, and innovations that inspire us to rethink how we live and build.
A major highlight is the daily knowledge sharing sessions with leading voices in architecture, interiors, and urban planning. Not to forget the immersive kitchen installations and cooking experiences.
Venue is the well-appointed EcoBank Pan-African Center right by the lagoon at Ozumba Mbadiwe Street, Victoria Island, Lagos. Time is 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily from September 24th to September 28th, 2025. Attendance is free.
See you there.
EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Mom, are you going
went shopping?
Yes, darling.
Can you get me a Capri Sun beach ball, please, mommy?
For sure. Wait, where do we get a Capri Sun beach ball?
There's a free beach ball inside every carton of Capri Sun, Mom.
That's right. The Capri Sun Beach Ball promo is here. There's a free beach ball inside every carton of Capri Sun. Terms and conditions apply.
Capri Sun, the taste of fun.
Is that Alfie playing football in the rain?
It's Toby Chio.
My goodness. When did he grow up?
That's it with kids, so.
It's amazing how your child grows up before your eyes. Enable their thriving development with the new NanKid 4 with HMOs to support your child's development, probiotics, and high-quality proteins to support age-appropriate growth. NanKid 4. Nourish your child's potential.
Ever wonder why Mamador oil makes some meals just unforgettable?
That stew you made last week. I have been thinking about it every day.
Or why your taste buds can't forget Victoria's Crunchy Chicken.
Bestie, please tell me you made fried chicken today.
Or even why your children always want to play in Auntie Kemi's house.
Mommy, can we go to Auntie Kemi's house?
When it comes to delicious tasting meals, it's Mamador. Mamador oil is available in stores near you and also available in pocket-friendly sizes. Use Mamador oil today.
It's my dollar day. Hallelujah, it's my dollar day. Oh yeah.
Oh yes, your Naira card is now like dollars in your pockets, as you can now shop directly on stores like Amazon, eBay, Macy's, and many more in the USA, all with your Naira card. And here's the bigger news. With African Import-Export Solutions, you can now shop anywhere in the USA, completely tax-free. That means you save thousands shopping your favorite items like the latest phones, gadgets, electronics, fashion items, auto parts, and lots more. To learn how to save thousands and get your items delivered to you in just 3 to 5 business days, visit www.africanies.com or call 0700 800 7000 today. African Import-Export Solutions, making global shopping simple for Nigerians.
Little body, big moves. Little brain, big learning. Your little child is eager to do big things. Every sachet of Cerelac Junior comes with the nutrition they need: natural grains, protein, and iron to support their physical growth, learning, and development. So you can fully enjoy your little one's big moments of growth.
This is where the headlines meet the hot takes.
What are the feelings of the people knowing that Fubara is set to return as governor of Rivers State?
We have crisis before, we have actions during, and definitely there will be some actions after.
Regulation of food prices, I think that some miracle is supposed to happen, and our magician is the president.
The farmers that you are giving directives to say you want to crash the food price, they are not only farmers.
You know, some of these monies that we've continuously been taxed.
Take seriously. Or we're just brought in by devil to come and make us suffer.
Kogi State government has lamented that youth take weapons and food to bandits.
Nigeria's investors who are in the diaspora are complaining. You are asking investors who are not in Nigeria to come and invest. Are you kidding me?
Stay with us on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Welcome back from that break. It's still Global Review. I still have Professor Scott Lucas here with me. We're still talking about Israel and Palestine. If there will be actually any chance of a two-state solution under Benjamin Netanyahu or any other government that would be in Israel, will the people of Gaza ever be free? But then, of course, we cannot have that conversation without talking about the role of Hamas in all of this, Professor. There are those who say that, well, Hamas is also making this a very difficult situation, especially for the people who are being killed every single day as Israel is trying to attack Hamas. What would you say about that?
Yeah, I think, the starting point for the current violence, and you have to recognize this is October 7th, 2023. Hamas, which interestingly enough was being quietly supported by Benjamin Netanyahu up to that point, because Netanyahu was trying to push aside the Palestinian Authority, who are Hamas's rivals. Well, Hamas had been planning for a couple of years an operation which they carried out, which was not just to fire rockets into Israel, but to go in on the ground over the border. And of course, they didn't just kill Israeli military. They stormed, kibbutzim. They stormed a music festival. So the majority of the 1,200 people that were killed that day were civilians. And of course, they took around about 250 hostages as well. Not just Israelis, also some foreign nationals. And they still have about 20 of those hostages who are still alive, and about 28 bodies that are there as well. So I said from the start, it's a personal opinion, but it's based on that analysis. I said in the autumn of 2023 that you cannot have a resolution of this until two things happen. One is that Hamas has to leave power. They crossed a line and cannot stand in power. And Benjamin Netanyahu has to leave power. That until both those conditions were satisfied, this would go on and on and on. And with regret, I think that's what's happened here. Because of course, Hamas, does not want to surrender. They don't want to give up. They don't want to give up all the hostages without a withdrawal of the Israeli forces. And Netanyahu uses that as his pretext to keep attacking Gaza. In other words, if Hamas are still there, I have to keep attacking. Even when his own military have said that the latest phase of this, which is to overrun Gaza City, where there still are about 750,000 people, is going to cause massive bloodshed. It's going to take months to, quote, defeat Hamas, and will probably get the hostages killed who are still alive. So that's your starting point, that both Hamas and Netanyahu really have to step aside. Now, with Hamas, you have had those people involved in the negotiations and the talks trying to work towards this, which is, and there is, I appreciate the paradox. That is, you have to negotiate with Hamas to end the Israeli operations, but you have to tell Hamas, your people can remain in Gaza. You won't necessarily have to be expelled, but you cannot be a political party in power. That's just not going to happen. Yeah. With Netanyahu, I think the thing we always come around is how do you get him to step down? And that has to come from inside Israel. That's the way that it would have to happen, which brings us back to where we started. I think one reason why I'm such a strong advocate of recognizing the state of Palestine, of making these statements, which with respect, but they call out the Netanyahu government, is not because I believe they will end the war tomorrow, but because I think it shows Israeli people, at least some Israeli people, look, what your government is doing is just not acceptable. It's just not acceptable. And we're not going to attack you. We're not going to overrun your country, but we do wish you could do something about that government. And many, many Israelis protest each and every weekend to get the hostages back and to get an end to the bloodshed.
But then there is the politics to it. There's a dark side of politics to it. There are claims that the very extreme supporters or people who back the Netanyahu administration, who helped him to win and get back into power, are the ones who are necessarily responsible for his extreme, push to continuously do what he's doing in Israel. So how do you get rid of those people? Because they seem to be, the fuel behind all of what's happening in Israel and, of course, Gaza.
I appreciate that, but as someone I've been interested in the region, all parts of the region for decades now, and that includes Israeli society as well as Israeli politics. There are extreme right-wing figures inside Netanyahu's government. They are extreme business interests there who not only want to depopulate Gaza, call it ethnic cleansing, that's what we're talking about, but they also want to annex the West Bank. International law be damned, which, by the way, is why France's President Emmanuel Macron made that public statement this week that would be a red line for the international community. That would not be acceptable. Well, there should have been a lot of red lines before that one, but we'll just say that. Now, at the same time, these aren't all the people in Israel. Israel's a very, very diverse society. It's one of the most political society I've ever encountered. I know in Nigeria, you talk about your politics a lot. I know you do it on your radio program. They do it in Israel each and every day. Israeli political culture, I think, has shifted to the right. In fact, I know it shifted to the right, but there still are people who range across the political spectrum, and there are still political parties as well as political groupings who are opposed to what is happening in Gaza. Remember that a good proportion of the Israeli population is Arab. A good proportion of the Israeli population are Palestinian or have links to Palestinian communities. There are Israelis, there are members of the Jewish population who would position themselves and also say that they are in the center or even on the left of politics. And you have to build up communications with them. You have to build up networks with them, which is why I say, because once you give up hope, once you say that there is no one in Israel that would see a way forward to coexisting with the state of Palestine, there is no way out of that. You've simply resigned yourself to this happening over and over and over again.
All right. Before I bring in the callers, because a lot of people have, their 2 cents to chime in on this particular issue, what would you, if you were to sit on a round table with the Palestinian Authority, the Israeli government, what would you prescribe as a pathway to peace? Might not be immediately, but what should be the steps that should be taken to address these issues?
Well, it's not for me to prescribe it. That's the first thing. I mean, the starting point really has to be that what we're talking about, it has to be from Israelis and Palestinians to talk about the way forward, which is why my starting point, and I actually have been involved in initiatives to try to bring Israelis and Palestinians together, is that you try to open up the possibilities that maybe not now, but at some point those people can get together across the table and talk about how each of them live in security and how each of them have their homes, their children, their jobs, and hopefully one day do it where they can move across the borders rather than being separated by them. But to do that, I think what I would say is, with respect from my own personal position, is it has to start off with a recognition of each other. It has to start off not by demonizing each other. It has to start by saying, look, you folks are all human beings here. You don't want to be killed. You don't want your children to be killed. So where you have that common ground then is if they agree to that, you say, okay, how are we going to achieve that? Now, in the position where we are now, that has to start with some way of voices being raised to say to Hamas, to say to the Netanyahu government, that the way of violence is not the way forward here. What I do each day is I just, I look in Gaza, I look in Israel, and what kind of contacts can be made? Where can we reach out and speak with people to encourage them to do that? That's my starting point. I will tell you a personal story if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Which, maybe we, after a lot of effort, we have a master's program in journalism and politics I'm very proud of at the University College Dublin.
Lovely.
And one of our new candidates, we have people from around the world, including people from Africa, but we have some from Gaza.
Lovely.
Exactly. And so yesterday I'm sitting in a classroom where we have someone who now works in the UK as an academic, but she was a journalist in Lebanon for many years. I have this student from Gaza. I have students from other part of the Middle East, from Africa, from other parts of Europe. And there's where dialogue could take place. There's where dialogue could take place about what's happening. It's much harder, of course, to talk about that dialogue taking place in Israel and Gaza right now. But I think wherever we are in our walks of life, to try to encourage that dialogue is just like a little contribution to what needs to be done.
Very, very well said. It starts from those small room conversations and then it expands. And it's lovely that you have journalists also, in that conversation because they obviously will set the tone for conversations like that to be had. I've just got 5 minutes. I can take a few calls. 0201 277 0993 0201 465 7190. You could join the conversation on X. Use the hashtag #HardFacts. On WhatsApp, you can send me a message quickly. I'd like to read it out before we wrap it up here. Yes. Because many people may not necessarily... Well, we all applaud Mr. Vice President's speech at that event, but then of course we have our own problems at home and Nigerians are not necessarily happy with this. Someone says, I think Nigeria should be neutral in the Israeli and Palestinian conflicts, which is crazily complicated, and the Vice President should focus on matters that will impact Nigerians' well-being directly and not join the bandwagon of world leaders who want to be politically correct in calling for a two-state solution. In my opinion, the two-state solution will not work unless the Palestinians accept and recognize the Israeli equal claimants to the land and want the complete annihilation of the state of Israel, and to drop completely the ideology of teaching children to hate Israeli, while Israeli on their part want Judea and Samaria, which is West Bank, which is historically their home, and the most religious sites like the temple, the mount, the tomb of Joseph, etc. Well, he's all just saying that look, he supports Israel and does not necessarily support the Palestinian push. Greenish here says Israel-Palestinian conflict is not complicated. Netanyahu should go back to Poland where he came from. Wow. Okay. Someone here says why I say our government is playing to the gallery is they know what to do, but they genuinely don't want to develop the place. Okay. Well, I don't understand this message, but thank you very much. So obviously everyone's criticizing Mr. Vice President for his speech because they're saying this doesn't concern Nigeria. This is an Israeli and Palestinian conflict. It's not necessarily our problem. But I mean, I think Nigeria's foreign policy obviously has always been very clear, especially in terms of where we stand on these kinds of issues, where we have a non-alignment when it comes to issues of foreign policy. But I'm guessing that for the humanitarian reasons that are obvious, that's why Nigeria had to chime in on this particular issue.
Let me respond to those messages really, just with a bit of, as an analyst, but with a bit of a personal approach. And that is that, remembering that I've lived in 3 different countries in my life and been interested in many of them, I think the issues of humanity that occur maybe at a distance from us are not completely removed from us. For example, when Nigerians sought their independence from Britain in the 1950s, and that was a tricky period, to say the least, right? I think it was an interest of people in terms of their support for Nigerians who wanted to be independent. And indeed, if you look at the history of the country where I was born, and you look at Black Americans who supported Nigerian independence, going all the way back to W.B. Du Bois, if they hadn't been concerned, hadn't been interested, I ask you that, if heaven forbid, someone decided that they would attack Nigeria these days, if someone decided they would declare war upon you, an unjust war, should I just say, oh, that's not my concern? That's not my concern, right? The fact here is that it happens to be happening in Gaza. It's also happening in places like Ukraine. It's also happening in other places around the world. We could talk about the Democratic Republic of Congo at some point, which is that when civilians are being unjustly killed, when they're being murdered, when there are cases which are mass killing with no justification, do we turn our eyes away from it? As someone who, now speaking, who's been raised in the Christian faith, whose father is a preacher, the good Lord Jesus didn't say, your interest for humanity is those people who are on one side of you here, on one side of you here, and those people in the neighborhood down the road, they're of no interest. If that had happened, there would have been no spreading of the faith. There would have been no extension of that humanity. Absolutely. And that's just simply my starting point for this.
All right. I want to say thank you, Professor Scott Lucas. Always a pleasure to have you on the show. We get to learn something new every time you have a conversation with us. Professor Scott Lucas is a professor of international politics at the Clinton Institute and also at the University College in Dublin. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Talk to you soon. I'm hoping that I can come that way when it's not very cold.
I'm looking forward to seeing you here in Ireland. My best to you and all your great listeners.
All right. Thank you very much. Well, Lagos, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're talking insecurity in Nigeria. A former member of the House of Representatives joins us on the 5 o'clock hour as we assess Nigeria's fight against terrorism. Stay with us. We'll be right back after these messages.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.